Hey guys, it's Matt. At the most basic level, what is the Notnilc? It seems like there are people that have come in the last year or two that really don't understand what I mean by the Notnilc or the screen reality the way the old guard would understand it. And I'll try to do this in a way that doesn't bore the old guard. I hope you stick with me. This is more of a back of the Amish classroom exercise. Regarding the use of music, I'll fade it out in just a few minutes. Typically, the use of music in most truth videos comes off as highly annoying, but this is a song and some sound bites I composed on my Mac. I'm no song composer. It's the only thing I was ever successfully able to put together on the old Mac to set a mood. But I've reminded people over the last 5 years, if a truth video is trying to set a mood with a scary tone, well, it's probably not presenting a message that's doing you any good. So I'll fade it out in just a moment. As usual, I start slow. The presentation usually picks up in speed or intensity. Then it gets kind of stupid from time to time. I don't know where this is going to go. Always start it with a serious intention, then it gets just plain-ass stupid. But it's not a 1.25 exercise. I'm going to try to keep this slow-paced, keep it more serious. This is for people that want to ponder the very nature of reality and the very nature of what a real spirit is doing in this place for a very short period of time called a lifetime. This is not 1.25 or 1.5 while Jupiter Jones is cleaning the damn toilets. Notnilc is a name that I came up with, 5 years ago, to name the dark part of reality itself. Notnilc is Clinton backwards. Notnilc is Bill and Hillary Clinton backwards. It needed a name, and Lochnar was taken. I also refer to it as the screen. It is not the game board that's here, the natural environment or the base reality or the game board, the earth itself, Gaia, nature, trees, grasses, animals. This is not the Notnilc. This is not a hijacked or dark part of reality. Squirrels aren't coming up to you every day, getting in your business, trying to distract you from your true spiritual nature. The game board just goes on. It does its thing. It doesn't give a shit about human being pursuits. But the Notnilc does, the screen does, and the third component, its minions, those that work to accomplish its goals. Those assholes do. So a few of you in the back that have put your straws and your spitballs down, at least for a few minutes, some of you may be asking, what do you mean the dark part of reality and it needs to be named like it's alive or sentient or it's a thing? Yes, this is the best way to understand it. One of the major tricks that this reality plays is played on conspiracy people or conspiracy theorists or the small group here on what we call Earth that starts to question the official narratives and watch the news and say, this isn't quite right. What is going on here? This history doesn't make any sense. How many people question the official narrative? About 1%, in my opinion, of the total population. That doesn't mean that 1% understand maybe some of the things that we do, but at least they're questioning. They don't just sit down and watch Dan Rather give his anniversary presentation on Dealey Plaza and accept all of it. They will at least question, but the reality is expert at misleading those that start to walk down the path of truth or start to question the official narratives or pop their head up out of the water and say, something's going on here that's not quite right. The reality itself, called Notnilc, screen, is expert at saying to these people, oh, you noticed that this stuff's all wrong, false, and lies. Here are the real answers. And it's hundreds and hundreds of graduated Animal Farm layers where people are going up in the elevator, getting off at higher and higher floors, thinking that each floor up is greater and greater truth, where all it is creating is a gigantic maze and confusion and conspiracy on conspiracy. And the farther one jumps into conspiracy, the further one moves away from the ultimate truth of reality, which is one or two sentences. It's just understanding what you're doing here in this short period of time called a lifetime, what a spiritual being is doing in a body or an avatar, what it's here to do and accomplish for itself. If you're going up and up in the elevator, the next floor is finally going to reveal what actually happened in Dealey Plaza and who was involved. If I could just get one more floor up. Oh, it's an expert at tempting you with that. Or 1,000 other conspiracies. Mudflood, Tartaria. The list is endless. Can't we see, people, the general and overall trick or game that the reality itself is playing on us? It's time to see it. Another reason for a word to describe it, like Notnilc, which is very general. It's something that can't be pointed at, and that's the idea. It's something in the police lineup that can't be picked out. Also, the screen is a very general term. The reason for these terms is because you have to be able to back up far enough to see the overall reality trick that's being played. When people start to notice and become conspiracy people and say, this is a lie, or this narrative is false, what it wants you to do, Notnilc. Okay, well, you'll understand more as we go forward. Just acknowledge that these are the tricks that it plays, whoever or whatever is playing it. It wants you to go find the bad guy, does it not? I love the police lineup example. I've done it 100 times over the years, and maybe I'll do it again. Bring him in. The police lineup. You're the conspiracy person that knows now that the news is all lies, and the newspaper and all the Anderson Cooper stuff and everything presented through official sources is all bullshit. So then you're going to go find the bad guy. Well, who's doing all this to me? And you stand behind your one-way mirror and your one-way glass, and this police sergeant says, bring them out. And here they come. The endless array of bad guys that the Notnilc reality itself has positioned so you go blame and chase these bad guys. If it can get you to go blame a bad guy and then spend 10 years of your life researching it and chasing that bad guy, it can hide itself and the true nature of what's going on. And more importantly, it's getting you outside of yourself to chase a bad guy. Who's doing it to me? Let me do this investigation. When that's its main trick. The real purpose of life is hidden from somebody that's chasing answers outside of themselves. That's its trick. It's 2 sentences. Go chase it out there, and you'll never truly understand yourself, your spiritual nature, who you really are, and what you came to do here for yourself. And then you go to your grave, and Vanna White's still turning letters, and Jim Cramer's still yelling booyah, and you've been tricked, and it's won. It's pretty simple. Okay, but what is Notnilc? What is screen? What is this vague thing? What the heck are you talking about? Okay, we'll move into that once you understand that a trick of the reality is trying to find the bad guy. Then we'll take the hot air balloon up even higher and look down. But let's continue and finish with the police lineup. Have you ever seen this done in the truth community? What, maybe 100 million times? Now, you, miss, are a conspiracy theorist, and you should be applauded because you notice that the entire news is all bullshit, and history's bullshit, and almost everything that academia and mainstream presents is bullshit. Now, what you need to do, miss, as you stand behind that one-way glass and that one-way mirror, when we bring them out, you are going to find the culprit, and you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to find the culprit and the bad guy as to who's screwing everybody over. So are you ready, miss, to go through this exercise? And I assure you, you're completely safe behind this one-way glass, one-way mirror. Are you sure that I'm completely safe? There's some real hardcore nasty motherfuckers that are going to be coming up on this stage. I don't want them to see me. You, miss, you're completely safe. You can see them, but they can't see you. Bring them in. Okay, miss, nothing to be nervous about. You can see the cell doors to the Hannibal Lecter wing are opening. We have our first group coming out now. These are the archons. We have almost every different type of archon coming out. Steve, if we need our Gnostic expert, our Gnostic consultant, do we have him? In case she points anybody out, we do? Okay, just be ready with the Gnostic consultant. All different types of archons coming out, miss. Anybody that looks suspicious, you point them out to me. And again, they can't see you. All right, bring in group 2, the Nephilim. Bring in the Nephilim. You know the story about this group, miss. They mated with the sons and daughters of man. And, well, back in the old days, it was the daughters. But if it was 2022, it would mostly be the sons. But these Nephilim, nobody really looks suspicious to you? Okay. Next group, bring in the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki, you know the story about these hardcore mofos, miss, don't you? These were the original from Babylon and Mesopotamia. They messed with human DNA. They made humans into slaves and serfs. They came from far-off places and planets, and they changed the DNA and the chromosomes, and they mined the gold. And, nobody ringing a bell? You like their beards? You do like their beards. I do, too. I can't grow a beard like that. Okay, sorry. Next group, reptilians and lizard people. Anybody we have from the Hannibal Lecter wing, reptilians and lizard people. Yes, of course, bring out the one that looks like the queen. We have somebody here that can potentially identify the bad guy responsible for all ills on Earth. Yes, bring out the one that looks like Liz. All of them. Here they come, miss. Boy, these are nasty things. I assure you they can't see you. I'm scared. Yeah, I'm scared too. But we've been through this. We're professionals. No lizard. You don't recognize these reptilians? Okay. Next group, the ancient gods. Yes, get them. The ancient gods. The whole prison starts to tremble. The lights start to flicker. The very ground shakes. An aura of energy flows through everybody. The two-way mirror shakes as if it's going to break. The ancient gods walk through the door. Enlil, Enki, Hades, Loki, every other ancient god that's ever been blamed in a comic book all come out. And even the other bad guys that are already up on the police lineup stage look like they're cowering in fear. But our conspiracy theorist behind the one-way glass still doesn't have an identification. All right, let's bring out everything we have associated with UFO investigation. Everything, every system, the Pleiades, Orion arm, Sagittarius arm, bring out every little gray we have in the Hannibal Lecter wing. Here come the grays. Here come the people that starred in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Don't let their cute looks fool you, miss. These are nasty little motherfuckers. They're easy to spot. If it was them, I would know. Yeah, if it was them, you would know. I hear you. Let's bring out representatives from every single think tank and secret society. We have somebody from Tavistock. We have somebody from Rand Corporation and the pseudo-government organizations, Trilateral Commission, and Council on Foreign Relations. And we have a representative from Crowley's OTO and the Golden Dawn and the Theosophical Society. We actually have a relative of Blavatsky to put up on stage. And we have somebody from the Lucius Trust. We have the Freemasons. Bring them in. Bring in somebody from the Council of 300, the Club of Malta, the Skull and Bones. Bring them all in. We got lots of room up here. Yeah, we got more, miss. We have a lot more to look at. We got a lot of mo. All right, who's next? You still don't. None of these people look like the culprit. I mean, my gosh, the stage is actually getting a little crowded. All right, we have the AI itself. This is some sort of matrix, and it's an AI overlord that rules here. And the figurative representation of this we have for the police lineup stage is Tweaky from Buck Rogers, Tweaky carrying Dr. Theopolis. That is, I know it's hard to pick out a nebulous AI overlord that stands in the shadows via just looking up at Tweaky and Dr. Theopolis. But this is our representation, and if you think it's the AI miss, point it out. We have interdimensional aliens and interdimensional beings that aren't here with us on stage, but they're here with us from another dimension. I mean, you can kind of see them. You see the blurriness right to the right side of the reptilians? That's them. And if you think we need to pursue that angle, miss, just let me know, and we'll take them into a separate room and pour flour all over them so you can see them. And who's left? Anybody? One more? We have somebody named Geordie Rose. I don't know why he's here, but put him up there with everybody else. He wants a sandwich. I don't care what he wants. He'll get a sandwich later. Get his fat ass up there. Okay, that took a little bit longer than I thought it would. I hope it was entertaining, but most importantly, for anybody that's new here for a year or two, do you understand the main point? There is no bad guy that can ever be pointed at or revealed in a police lineup. If there was a bad guy here that was 99% responsible for all the ills that are being laid down on what they call the human being, we would already have pointed at it. We'd already know exactly who it is. The JFK two asses in a nation is a microcosm for this entire reality example. It's the mob. No, it's the Fed. No, it was Cuba and Castro. No, it was this. No, it was that. It just back up 100,000 feet and look down, and that's a microcosm for reality itself. It wants you trying to find the bad guy, because then you're outside yourself, and the reality has successfully distracted a real man or a real woman from the only thing that's important, for that person to discover their true nature. It's as simple as 2 sentences once you can see through all the bullshit. Shit, man, I didn't just watch 4,000 conspiracy videos for nothing. It can't be that simple. I spend time watching 4,000 conspiracy videos. They've taught me it's got to be complicated. Are you saying that it could be as simple as a real spirit comes into this reality and it says a mind wipe, it comes in as Tommy, as deaf, dumb, and blind kid, and the idea is the reality itself working as a whole, working as a system with thousands and millions of component parts, is out to hide the human being, what they call us, not what I call myself, hide it from itself and understanding itself, where all the real person has to do is understand itself and see through the bullshit. You saying after the 4,000 conspiracy videos I watched, it comes down to 2 sentences? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Look inside yourself, Clarice. What does your heart tell you, Jerry Maguire? What does your inner tuning fork tell you? What does your inner knowing tell you? Look to it, not to the idiot frontal lobes that thinks and speaks in English. Does your inner knowing tell you that the final answer is extremely simple, or does your inner knowing tell you right now that it's complicated and needs to be figured out? Of course it's simple. So what is Notnilc then? Notnilc is a term for the all-encompassing whole, of which if you get close to that whole, it's millions whole, not H-O-L-E, W-H-O-L-E. It's millions and billions potentially of moving parts that all has the same goal. Simple playbook: distract real people, distract a real man or woman from understanding its true nature. Always get a real man or woman looking outside for the answers instead of getting closer to its spiritual self. Everything that works collectively to accomplish its goal is Notnilc. So, Matt, I think the Ellen or whatever that thing is, and the Ellen show is designed just to distract and push the official narrative. So I walk around and operate in fear and anger and jealousy. And yeah, Ellen would be a gear or a nut or a bolt in Notnilc. Sure, it would be. What about the international banking system, Matt, which makes up money and creates huge disparity between rich and poor, so most people suffer? Yes, that's part of Notnilc. See, everything we've ever looked at in these circles is part of Notnilc. But we try to look at it with a micro lens and get closer to it, when we should actually be backing up and looking at it as a whole. Okay, if you look at it as a whole, well, Matt, maybe some of these dark secret societies are pulling off some of these ruses, like the tin can and the tuna fish can that went up to the moon, and they all came back with the same rings. Of course, yes, that's part of Notnilc. Anything, any nut or bolt or metal part or piece that's in the engine that's designed to distract a real person or real spiritual being is Notnilc. But the key, what we're doing here, that most of the truth community will never do, they'll go to their graves with the same investigations while having Vanna White turn the same letters, is we're seeing it as a whole and backing up far enough and seeing what it wants to do as a whole and what it wants to take from me or get from me. And no real world could pull this off. We don't know, and then Matt, you're going to have to explain the exact mechanisms and mechanics as to how this happens. No, I can't. And do you think it wants me trying to spend 20 years to figure that out? Let's say I figure it out. Tell him what he won, Johnny. 20 years wasted, because the actual mechanism or how it's happening doesn't matter in the end of the day. Don't we see that by now? It wants me trying to get closer to certain. Let me spend 20 years looking at the carburetor inside the Notnilc and see how that works. Pointless. It's exactly what it wants, and it's going to try to lure you in. Do you think it does that? What does your heart tell you, Jerry Maguire? Do you think that with the conspiracy videos that pop up and all this stuff, do you think it's trying to lure you in to what for most of us has been an addiction? Of course it tries to lure you in, because as you get closer to it, you don't realize you're sleeping on King Kong's back. You don't realize it's King Kong at all. It's just an old shag carpet from the 70s with a bunch of roaches stamped out into it. You have to back up and look at it. And it's unnatural. No system could work as a whole with a billion moving parts, with even your neighbor or the guy down the cul-de-sac. If they're repeating the official narrative and going along with what everything that Wolf Blitzer says on CNN, then even if they were once real boy Pinocchio, they're now wood, and they are part of Notnilc. They are hope now they can potentially come out of it. They can maybe some of them can walk out of the spell or have water thrown in their face and say, well, where have I been the last 20 years? I think if they're real men and real women, they still have some light or power inside them. They have the ability to cast it off or to step out of the spell. But while they're pushing my aunt and everybody that pushed the official narrative down at the family reunion, I'm sorry, as of right now, they're not Notnilc. They are inside the engine working on its behalf. At least I think they have a chance to come out of it. Matt, once you see what you are suggesting to be the, quote, master trick, meaning the top trick in the org chart, the trick to rule all other tricks, the one ring to rule them all. Once you see the whole, let's just say you're right, you conspiracy theorist son of a bitch. If you're right, well, what should I be investigating? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Unless it's what you like to do. You know, some people are fascinated that at some point, whether it be 150 or 250 years ago, where they had access to free energy and electricity pulled from the atmosphere, and that powered all these big buildings and cathedrals because they didn't have heating systems. Maybe if that's your thing, great. But no, the reality is designed from the ground level to pull you into that ruse, to suck you into it. You'll never find the answers you think. Of course you won't. Well, we haven't gotten a major win in this truth community since we started this. That's unnatural. That's not possible. Just week after week goes by, month after month, we expose more and more and more. Your neighbor never wakes up. We never get a win. Nobody ever goes down or is punished the way we in the past wanted them to be punished. It's the whole system, the matrix here is unnatural. If it's the real world you think it is, it couldn't maintain itself in this way. Bang event after bang event, nothing ever changes, nothing ever happens. They get away with it, get away with it, get away with it. Thousands of different conspiracies, with most people still, my own commenters fighting with me, still believing that men on the ground in secret societies can be pulling all of this off, tens of thousands of things to perfection, which just blows my mind. I mean, I don't understand that thought process. If you believe that people in secret societies are pulling all the strings and it's just men, I don't understand why you're at this channel. I really don't, even though I love you guys and I know who you guys are. I mean, I can't say more than I have to convince you that after we just looked at 10,000 conspiracies, all pulled off perfectly, all where we see it and your friends and neighbors don't see it, but that's just explained just with regular people making phone calls. I don't understand that mindset, and I'm going to call it first grade truth. I'm sorry if it pisses you off. The eclipse by itself, as I've said 1,000 times, reminds any real person that this world isn't real at all or isn't very real. I soften it up a little bit. And then there's lesser versions of the eclipse that are impossible, like the Kennedy to Lincoln synchronicities. The eclipse, for that to happen the way they say it happened, it's over 1 in a trillion. I don't know about you. I don't buy 1 in a trillion coincidences anymore. Even 1 in 10, I would be skeptical of coming off the New York subway with the guy playing 3-card Monte, saying, hey, come play this. 1 in 10, we'd say, no, you're a shyster. You're a shyster. But then we'd go and watch the news, 1 in a trillion chance that the moon could fit directly over the sun, and we buy that. Yeah. So that by itself, the eclipse by itself says the world isn't very real. So if you think, I guess the people that say all the secret societies are running around pulling off the thousands and thousands of conspiracies, and it's not just that. Each conspiracy usually has 2 or 3 or more layers. They have to embed conspiracy inside conspiracy, so they successfully pulled that off. Those people you must believe that a big ass round rock floats exactly in front of a burning sun with from our perspective, the exact same size, like 2 milled quarters. And you must believe that one is just, Matt, don't you know it's 400 times bigger and one's 400 times farther. So the people here, even at my channel, that think the secret societies and men and women are pulling everything off, you must also think that a rock just floated in front of the sun. Because see how they go together? I mean, to me, they're directly related. The eclipse is screaming down at everybody saying the world isn't very real. When I look at 10,000 conspiracies, all pulled off in the same fashion, we never get a win. We expose. We can see it. We're never able to convince our family. When that happens over and over and over again, then your chances of all that goes up into the eclipse range. Like that's a 1 in trillion too. So I don't believe either one. It's a fake reality managed on the whole by something. If it helps push the ruse over on a real man or real woman, hiding them from their true spiritual nature and understanding themselves, then it's Notnilc and it's screen. And its goal, what it's out to do to a real person, is as simple as 1 or 2 sentences. Are there people here that really have the mindset where they would agree with me about the eclipse? Matt, yeah, that is a rock moving in front of a sun. And I agree with you, Matt. The moon, it can't even be landed on. It's not what they say. The whole legend and lore about the moon is made of cheese is a truth drop to get people to think, or to tell people in a roundabout way, that the moon is something other than what they say. Are people here at this channel going to say, of course, Matt, the eclipse isn't what David Muir, the plastic greasy man, says on ABC News? So they say that's, they would agree that it's some sort of a matrix or some sort of a sign. But those same people are going to say that, Matt, you don't understand how a hospital can be controlled, paid and threatened, paid and threatened, paid and threatened, paid and threatened. Now tens of hundreds of thousands, millions of people in on it, catastrophe thespians, entire police forces in on it, firefighters in on it, every EMT in on it, event after event after event after event after event after event, through the other types of ruses, like all of SpaceX, all of NASA. All that is just the secret societies. It doesn't work. You can't agree with me about the eclipse and where the reality itself, it pokes through evidence that is some sort of a matrix, and then on the other side run around and just say men in black came in and threatened the hospital. It doesn't work. They don't go together. Do you understand that? So I think all of reality boils down to a few sentences. You've heard me talk about the half page. You come in to this reality system called Earth, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid, the who is a reason for all that bullshit and truth drops, endless truth drops, truth drop, truth drop, truth drop, truth drop. Tommy, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid. Then you can go one of 2 ways. 2 roads, paths diverge in a wood. The Mandela effect road not taken. 2 paths, oh boy. This guy was making sense, but he's one of those people, Mandela effect. Oh, after everything he said that resonated with my inner knowing, I'm going to drop everything he has said for the last 25 minutes because he's one of these people. And because I can't see the Mandela effect, he must be controlled opposition. Believe whatever you want. I'm sorry to trigger people by mentioning the Mandela effect. Let me continue. It's 2 sentences, 3 sentences at most. You come in the reality system, Tommy, deaf, dumb, and blind kid. It's a simple game being played. Probably you put a dime bet down before you came into the reality. Say, I bet that by the time my life is over, I'll be able to understand my true nature and get closer to it and use the incredible tools that this Earth system affords me to improve myself and to have experiences that I can't have outside of this 3D place. And I'm going to see through it And don't be so sure, somebody said, or another aspect of you, or whatever your religious belief said. It's pretty hard to talk. You have to talk on eggshells, walk and talk on eggshells when you give these sorts of presentations. If I don't say everything just right over here, then the Christians will get all pissed off. And if I don't say anything, if I said, oh, you said something against Gnosticism, and the Gnostics that are here, they'd get all pissed off. I'm sorry. I'm trying to, Switzerland, I'm trying to do the best I can here. I'm sorry. So it's a simple game. No, I'm going to go into this reality and I'm going to get closer to. They're not going to be able to fool me. Well, you don't underestimate what's down there, Matt. So then you get in, and the entire reality, it's playing its side of the game to distract you and hide you. And one of the ways it does that, the more angry it can get you, the more pissed off it can get you, the more emotions that it wants that it can elicit from you, then it will hide you. If it can squash your imagination and your freedom of thought, and your ability to create what we all want to do, put you in a little cube and say, this TPS report has to be done exactly in this way. And it's like, I want to be a creative being. I think I can improve on the TPS reports. No, you're going to do the TPS reports the way we say. So if you want your paycheck, sit down and shut up. You'll get nothing and like it, Spalding. You'll have no possessions and you'll be happy. It squashes creativity, because creativity and imagination eventually leads people back to understanding what they don't want you to understand about yourself. It's this, Matt, are you saying all of reality could be literally like a Duke and Duke $1 bet, or as simple as just a game being played where this group and the creeps and the minions are playing a role, and you can be sucked into it and be fooled and you'll lose the game? What are the consequences if we lose or win? I'm not going to get into that right now. The no consequences people. I'm not getting into that right now. It doesn't matter. The game is still as simple as what I believe it is. Matt, you don't understand shit. You always have to make it simple because you're too stupid to understand the complicated. If you want to believe that, go right ahead. Keep having your ego mind and your frontal lobes think it needs to be complicated. Shut the ego mind and listen to what your inner knowing, your inner tuning fork, your inner, what does your Jerry Maguire heart tell you? Clarice, look deep within yourself. Truth drop, truth drop, truth drop. Your inner knowing, and I'm sorry to speak for your inner knowing, but I guess I will. Your inner knowing will, if you're in touch with it, will scream at you that the answers are simple. And if you're wasting time with YouTube channels that make it so complicated, that's exactly the reality distraction that, quote, it wants. That's Notnilc. Thanks for listening.